Hey ladies, this week's educational video, I thought we would start with the basics, alright? So I'm just going to talk about the 3 macros and why we need them all and what we do, alright? So I've given you all a calorie target, as you know, right? If you can hit that, right? Don't be stressing about your macros. Your calorie target is the most important thing, alright? So when you nail your calorie target, we're then aiming for protein. That is the most important macro when we are dieting, right? And the reason for that is protein, it keeps you feeling fuller for longer. So when you eat food, your protein is digested in the stomach, right? And it means that your stomach lets no other food out your stomach until it has processed the protein. So that's why it keeps the food in your stomach for longer, which makes you feel fuller for longer. All right, so protein makes you feel fuller for longer. The second thing that protein does is it replenishes your muscles. It keeps the muscles that we have, and it helps you build new muscles. All right, so when we are dieting, this is why you will hear me speaking a lot about fat loss as opposed to weight loss. So weight loss is when when the scales are lighter, but you're also losing muscle as well as body fat, all right? If we're going for fat loss, it's because you're keeping your protein high, you're retaining the muscles that you've got, possibly building bigger muscles if you're strength training, right? So keeps the muscles that we've got, builds muscle, and it keeps you feeling fuller for longer, all right? So that's protein in its simplest form, right? And that is the easiest way to get protein is to eat animal products, right? So fish, meat, lean fish, lean meat, etc., etc. All right, other things that have got protein in them are things like cottage cheese, baby bells, eggs, etc., etc. all right? So, and also if you're going for dairy food for especially if that's how you're going to get most of your protein, if you're vegetarian, always go for the low fat cheese option, right? It pains me to say this, I was never a low fat gal ever, but it does give you extra calories to spend on your carbohydrates and stuff as well, all right? So protein, all right? So protein keeps you fuller for longer, retains your muscles, builds new muscles. That's the 3 things that protein does, all right? Carbohydrates, your second most important macro, right? So carbohydrates give you energy. So carbohydrates, when you eat a carbohydrate, your body will convert it into some form of sugar, usually like glucose, or there's another name that begins with a gl, but I can't remember what it is, all right? And that is what fuels your body. So that's what gives you energy to get off the sofa, to go for a walk, to do strength training, to go to your gym class. But it also fuels your brain, all right? So whenever you eat a carbohydrate, your body converts it into some form of sugar, usually glucose, all right? Sugar is the only thing that can cross the blood-brain barrier. So we have a blood-brain barrier so that if your body gets an infection, it doesn't go into your brain, because that would be very serious and you could die. So the only thing that can cross that blood-brain barrier is sugar, which is why you need carbohydrates to fuel your brain and your body, right? So for physical activity, whether it's exercising or walking, right? But also, if you are perimenopausal or menopausal and you suffer from brain fog, right, you will feel fatigued and you're just wondering about going like, what the fuck is happening, right? Carbohydrates will help manage that. It won't make it disappear, but it will help manage that, all right? So carbohydrates for the energy, for the body and for the brain, all right? And it will help with perimenopause, brain fog, all right? Excellent. Fat, so dietary fats, they do lots of good things, all right, but they specifically support cell function, which means that they will make all your cells work properly, all right, which is really, really good, all right? It also keeps you warm and it also gives you energy as well. So if you were going for like a long 20-mile hike, your body would burn through its carbohydrates that you've given it, and then it would hit the fat stores, all right? So it does get used for energy. So short, sharp bursts of energy is your carbohydrates. Longer things like 20-mile bike cycle or whatever, that's where your fat comes in, all right? But like I said, it supports most cell functions. So everything that your body needs to do, dietary fat will make those cells function properly, right? in a dieting point of view or in a food point of view, fat is what makes the food tasty. And I realise I've just said a whole thing about low-fat cheese, right? But that's about your balance so that you can spend more calories on your carbohydrates and your protein, all right? But fat, dietary fat, so the fat that's in your food is what makes food tasty. So if you think about all the super duper duper lovely, amazing takeaways and everything that we love, right? There's fat in them. That's why they are so tasty, or one of the reasons why they are so tasty. The other one's sugar, but that's why they are so tasty, all right? And if you think about it, if you think about low-fat crisps and normal crisps taste way better, right? So that's what makes food tasty. So that is why sometimes when you go on a low-fat diet, right, you struggle to stick to it because everything just tastes like cardboard. If you think like rice cakes and all that shite, all right? So get some dietary fat in your diet. I have given you a goal, all right? Also, dietary fat controls your body temperature. So when we are dieting, if you don't hit your fat goal, you potentially might be cold, right? I am always cold when I'm in a calorie deficit. It doesn't matter why, it's just a thing. So if you start to feel cold, think about trying to get your dietary fat back up to the goal that I've given you, all right? What else was I going to say? Yeah, that's probably it. That's a basic thing, all right? So, back to carbohydrates, right? So protein, lean meats, fish, and you do get protein in like pulses and stuff like that, all right? It doesn't matter if it's frozen, if it's fresh, it doesn't matter. If it's tinned, it doesn't matter. Just find what the proteins that you like and eat them, all right? Carbohydrates, so all fruit and vegetables are carbohydrates. This is why when people say to me I'm cutting out carbohydrates, it freaks me out, all right? Because what they actually mean is they're cutting out ultra processed carbohydrates, which is fine, right? Then you'll be cutting your fruit and veg out. You absolutely need it. So carbohydrates, fruit and veg, things like your pasta, your rice, etc., right? You all know that there is nothing wrong with eating any of that stuff, ladies, all right? Absolutely not. Keep your treats in as well. You should be using 20% of your daily calories for treats. So if you were on 2,000 calories, 400 calories a day on treats. Can you imagine how many Freddos you could actually eat for 400 calories, all right? If your treat is a glass of wine, a packet of Haribo, crisps, white bread, Freddos, chocolate, anything, spend 20% on your treats, all right? It's for adherence. If you have the treats, you will stick to the diet longer, then you'll be cutting them out. That's it, 7 minutes. Hope you get a cup of tea, ladies. Chill. As always, if you need anything, message me. There'll be one of these every week, all right? Bye.